Ever since the Nintendo Switch launched, there's been rumors about a Nintendo Switch Pro. The Nintendo Switch Pro would be a huge step up from the Nintendo Switches that we currently have. We currently have three. Thank you, Nintendo. We needed that. But the original Nintendo Switch launched, and it took a concept that Nintendo previously thought of bringing to the table, which with the Wii U, which was pretty much a handheld console that you could play whatever you would play on the television, but in your hand. But it just took it a step further and making it a portable, full-fledged gaming console, which was a great idea. I applaud Nintendo for doing so. But then people wanted more, considering the fact that the Nintendo Switch came out after the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. It was kind of the lower end one, so Nintendo definitely needed something. But now they actually have something that might be coming very soon, because rumors are circulating about the Nintendo Switch Pro again. And they're saying that this new Nintendo Switch Pro, not only will this new Nintendo Switch Pro have a 1080p screen, but it'll also be able to output 4K when connected to the dock. Which might not seem like a lot for a lot of people, but that is a lot to say about a handheld device. 1080p screen is something that I see being somewhat attainable by Nintendo. The 720p that's currently on the Nintendo Switch is a pretty clean 720p screen, and I think they can step that up to add a few more pixels and make a 1080p Nintendo Switch screen. That makes sense. But I hear persons saying that the new Nintendo Switch will be, well, the sources that are saying this, I'll leave links to the sources in the description if you want to go through the official article. But they're saying that this will be on par with the PlayStation 5 as well as the Xbox Series X, which I don't 100% believe. I honestly believe that it might be on par with a PlayStation 4 Pro, somewhere between that PlayStation 4 Pro and probably an Xbox Series X. Not Series X, but an Xbox Series S, which is the lower trim for the Xbox Series. I don't know why Xbox did that. But that's my thoughts, and I'm not always right whenever I make these predictions, but that's just the way I see it. And the reason why I see that is, while I know Nintendo will be innovating in what they are doing, to see them move from probably the most anemic in terms of horsepower of the three consoles that are in the console wars right now, to see them move from having the weakest spec console to having the most powerful console. But like I said, Nintendo has never been one to shy away from a challenge, and they have produced a pretty powerful console in the Nintendo Switch, all things considered, using the technology that they have. So I'm actually excited for the future to see where they will go with this. Now, they also say that the new Nintendo Switch, or the Nintendo Switch Pro, the Nintendo Switch 2, whichever one you want to call it, they also say that this Nintendo Switch won't be backwards compatible, so you won't be able to play Nintendo Switch games. So I'm assuming that they are going to redesign their cartridge chips, so that's why it won't be able to use Nintendo Switch games, which is a bad thing, because people who've already invested in the Nintendo Switch library would have games, some people tens of games, some people hundreds of games, or if they're even collectors, they have every single game, and these persons would have these games and they can only play them on the previous gen console. On the other hand, I understand where the necessity would be, because if you are gonna make a new console which would be more powerful, and you would need a new architecture to operate that console, then you definitely have to rework some stuff in order to get it to where you need to get it. So if they have to create new chips to make new cartridges, so that these cartridges can not only have a bigger memory capacity, but also has the ability to store 4K images, and also render, not only store these things, but also to process these things at a fast enough rate, because the newer consoles uses SSDs and IDMBE, or if I'm even pronouncing that right, but they use solid state hard drives in order to get as much information as quickly as possible to the system, so the system can run at an optimal rate. They would have to design these new chips or these new cartridges in the same way, so they can hit those peak speeds to get those impressive loading times, and also those beautiful graphics, and also to get these to compete with the current gen consoles, because it's not good enough for Nintendo anymore to just be able to produce a console for their consumers. They have to be able to produce a console for any consumer, whether it's old, young, experienced, adventurous, mature, it doesn't matter. They have to be able to deliver on an experience that everyone can enjoy. And if their console cannot run the games that the current gen consoles are running, people will still have they'll only buy Nintendo consoles for the exclusive, the Mario Party, the Mario Kart, the Super Smash Bros, the Pokemon. But again, how much can you really get from a consumer if they only shop for you for a specific item, if you understand what I'm saying? Now, honestly, what I think that they might do, they did say in the article that Nintendo is thinking of revising this so that they can find some way to get the previous gen, which is the current Nintendo Switch, to be able to run on the new Nintendo Switch, which I think they might include in their Nintendo Switch Online service, which honestly would probably be the only saving grace for the Nintendo Switch Online system right now, if they don't change a few stuff around. What they probably would have to do, which is what I'd recommend, is once you have a Nintendo Switch, Nintendo Switch Online, and it's linked to your My Nintendo ID, you can re-download games that you have already purchased on your Nintendo Switch. So the Nintendo Switch 2 would have a Nintendo Switch emulator, or however they want to do it, built in, that you can then re-download and play Nintendo Switch games on the console. That's the best idea that I see that they could do. I think they should do it, but let me know your thoughts, people. Thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, turn on post notifications so you get notified every single time I drop a video. And if you enjoy videos like this, please let me know. This is Triple Storm. Say one bell Atumbo and take care.